Yo, what up guys? Welcome to Jack's Off to another adventure. So San Francisco is back to shelter in place. That's like twice in a year, which must be a record. But I'm kind of curious of what life is like, especially here in good old Chinatown. Maybe I can go for a little walk and see what life is like, and maybe I can share some knowledge for those of you who have never been to Chinatown. So let's go. Let's go see what's going on in Chinatown. Very nice.
Thank you, man.
Very nice. Bueno, bueno.
Muy bueno.
Muy bueno. Wow, what a lovely voice. Anyways, so right here, the Dragon's Gate is like the official entrance of Chinatown. So if it's your first time here, you want to walk through the gates like this, which makes it official, and now you're in Chinatown. All right, so Chinatown is actually one of the biggest Chinese communities outside of China, but it's also one of the biggest tourist hubs in San Francisco. So once you cross the gates over here, you're gonna run into all these souvenir shops for tourists. You got the monkeys, you got the giant Buddha, you got the raging stallion that is circumcised. And then you have these little tourist shops. If you want to find your name in the license plate, if you want some Chinese version of your names, if you want some postcards, Chinatown's got some very good deals. So once you enter Chinatown, you're going to be hit with these tourist shops. And then, as you can see, a lot of these shops are boarded up from the last riot. They don't want people bringing in their glasses. But then you also have shops like this that they don't care, you know? Like, you want to break in here? Sure. No one's gonna want these stuff anyways, even though they look pretty sick. Like, check out that temple right there.
Can you open the front door?
That's like a flex. Like, it's stuff that you don't really need, but if you have it, it's like flexing to your, you know, guests that come over to your house, right? All right, so this street down here, Grand Street, this is all tourist hubs. As you can see, all these are tourist shops and they're closed. So we're gonna take a little detour down this way. I'm gonna show you guys a little park. And let's see what's going on in the park. So I thought during shelter in place, parks are supposed to be closed, but here we have little kids playing here. So that's not the case. So because of shelter in place, I'm gonna try to stay away from people, which isn't hard to do because I'm Asian. We were taught to stay away from people, you know, stay away from girls until you get married. You know, I'm used to this already. And behind me right here are statues dedicated to the comfort women, a very dark history of World War II. And you can read more about it over here. So you have kind of like the Ajima, and then you have the victims of war, and then you also have a woman doing stretches over there. And right here behind me is a statue of a very popular, very famous figure of modern day China. And I'm sure you can tell from the very detailed looking face, you know who it is. Dr. Sun Yat-sen. Aside from being the father of the Republic of China, he was also a very important revolutionist that overthrew the Qing dynasty. And after the Qing dynasty, there was a period of time where there's a lot of dark history, but China wouldn't be China today if it wasn't because of Dr. Sun Yat-sen. So after gold was discovered here in California in 1848, a bunch of Chinese people came. And because of racism and they needed their own community to protect themselves, they came here and established Chinatown. So nowadays you can still see, you have shops on the bottom floor and then you have houses. And people still live up here on the top floor. And then check these out. These are like the outdoor dining. And because of shelter in place, they're no longer able to do outdoor dining. So who knows what's going to happen to all these parklets. And as a community, Chinatown's actually completely self-sufficient. So they have all these different kinds of services. So if you want to get a lucky massage, you can get it right here. If you need dental work, you can get it over there. Take pictures over there if you want to relax. And guess what? they even have their own Chinese school. Actually, let's go closer and go take a look over there. All right, so check it out. We have the Namq school right here. Check out this architecture. Very Chinese looking. And then to incorporate America, you have the financial district behind it. And because Chinese people invest heavily in education, this is not the only Chinese school here in Chinatown. And check this out. We got a Bank of America, but Chinese style. You see all these dragons over here? More dragons. All right, and as we walk around Chinatown, you will notice a lot of these murals, a lot of art. And check this one out, a dedication to Bruce Lee, the pioneer of Chinese or Asian athletes. In the beginning, Asian people were looked at as weak, geeky, until Bruce Lee came and kicked everyone's ass. And then now you have more and more Asian people playing in professional sports like Dat Nguyen, like Jeremy Lin, and this year's hottest NFL player, Young Ho Koo, leading scorer this year. And check this apartment out. Like I said, people do live up here, and this one is decorated as the Terracotta Army. And check this one out. Homeboy's got a mask on. Check this out, even the lingerie store is boarded up. They don't want no people stealing no bras and stuff. But when it comes to heavy, useless souvenirs, they don't care about that. Bras are more important. All right, so right here, we have the most famous, most popular park in Chinatown, Portsmouth Square. In Chinese, is known as Fa Yuen Gok. And before the pandemic, a lot of grandmas and grandpas would come here and just hang out, play cards, you know, talk crap, gamble and stuff. And now they've transformed this into a COVID testing site, I guess, which is great. Making progress, making good use of this area, you know. Got all these people lining up here to get tested, which is good. All right, so like I mentioned how they used to hang out here, they're still doing it here. These grandpas over here gambling and stuff. God of gamblers. If you never watched that movie, this is what happens when they retire. They come here to Fa Yuen Gok to gamble. So when you're in Chinatown, you'll find these kind of attractions too, where you have these buildings. It's a bank, but look at this Chinese architecture right here. All right, so there's one thing I want to tell you guys about banks and Chinese people. Chinese people, especially the older generation, they love going to banks. Why? Because they can get cash. They pay with everything with cash, not like Americans using the credit cards, you know. So why do they like paying with cash? Because they don't want to owe people anything. They hate owing people stuff, especially owing favors. And here's something else about Chinese culture. You'll have like two Chinese people fighting each other to the death just to prove who's nicer. Isn't that kind of ironic? But that is the culture though. So early on in Chinatown, they have all these alleyways that had all these like shady stuff. Like if you go down here, they've got mahjong places, and then they also have brothels. It's kind of out of the way, so, you know, hidden. But now, like this very wide alley has a lot of commercial buildings, also restaurants. And again, you have associations on the top floor, or you have people's houses, and then you have the shops on the bottom floor. And then you also have these more narrow alleyways that are really important to the community because it's like a shortcut from street to street. But again, they can also hide a lot of stuff in here. And here's also a very touristy map because this alley is actually very touristy. Again, they have shops. And I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear the mahjong sound? It's coming from behind this shop right here. Disguise it as a clothing modification, but inside is actually mahjong heaven. And over here we have the very famous Golden Gate Fortune Cookie Factory. And for those of you who don't know, fortune cookies aren't even Chinese. But now it is, and they're making money out of it, so. All right, so another thing about Chinatown, there's a lot of hills. As you can see, hills going up. And not only do they have hills, they have to climb stairways up to their buildings, right? So, as you can see all these aunties over here, and uncles, they have no problem going up these hills because, you know, they don't skip leg days. So the secret to Asian people living so long, not skipping leg days. So earlier we were at Grant Street, which is like a very touristy spot. Now we're in Stockton. And this is more like the local area, you know, you got the markets. If you want to get cheap fruits, veggies, you come here to Stockton Street right here. If you were to compare the streets now compared to prior to the pandemic, it's a lot less crowded, which is good. But as you can see, there's still a lot of life going on here in Chinatown. You can also get your fresh seafood here. You can get your barbecue meat. Like I said, it's a self-sufficient community, so whatever you need, they have it here. Hello， 要一磅叉燒唔該。
切唔切啊？
切啦唔該。
3蚊你啦。
唔該晒。
多謝晒啊。
Chinatown usually has the best barbecue pork, but they usually have a long ass line, so today there is no line, so gotta try some of the barbecue pork here. Alright, so before we leave Chinatown, there's one last thing I want to show you guys. This building right here. This is actually my Chinese school. So back in the days when I was a little kid, we would come here at 7:30 in the morning, take our English classes, you know, English, math, science, social studies, till about like 3:30 in the afternoon. And then from 3:45 to 5:45, we go to this building right here. This one. There's actually, these two buildings right here, this one and this one, you can actually, like, it's connected from the back. So this would be English school, and this would be the Chinese school. So yeah, while other kids were, you know, learning how to play basketball, play sports, learn how to be a kid, we were learning how to handle pressure thrown at us by our parents and society. They're starting us young. You might be able to handle the pressure, but for those that can't, you fall into mental depression. But it's gotten a lot better nowadays, though. You see a lot more happier Asian people, like me. You see that sign right there? Quiet through tunnel. They don't want you here making weird noises while you go through this tunnel right here. All right, and there you have it. That's what's going on in Chinatown today. Honestly, it's a lot more peaceful, but that's because of the pandemic. And I really hope this pandemic ends soon so I can go travel and go on crazier adventures. Anyways, I got my pork, nothing to complain about, life is good. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until my next video, Jack is off.